Hello, everyone. I'm really sad today because there are still people that are using single lines instead of hatches. Let me show you. So I found this drawing the other day where you can see that the ceiling grid is made out of full of lines. And actually, I realized that people are still wasting time um, with examples like this, right? Instead of using a regular hatch like this or the ceiling grid, they are using single lines. So, I mean, it's not their fault. Probably it is because AutoCAD doesn't have a ceiling grid like this, but they do have a ceiling grid like this. So probably they didn't know how to create it, or who knows, but that makes me sad because I know for sure that people are wasting time creating this kind of ceiling grids line by line. So today my plan is to show you how to create custom hatches. So basically, first I'm gonna explain you one way, which is an easier way, and then the second way is gonna be more complex and advanced, including coding. And then finally, I'm gonna give you some troubleshooting tips and tricks to create your custom hatch because it's a little hard or complex here in AutoCAD. So I'm gonna give you some troubleshooting tips so that you can create finally your hatches that you wish. All right, so let's start. Okay, so if you are new to the channel, this is the Lazy Arquitecto and I'm Irvin. And so this channel is all about saving time in AutoCAD or stopping you from wasting time, right? In this program. So whatever I have a tip or trick, a dynamic block or a custom command, or in this case, custom hatches, I'm gonna be showing here any of these techniques in a way of tutorials, right? So you can learn, you can optimize your workflow in AutoCAD. Let's start with the first way to create custom hatches in AutoCAD. And for this, we need to create a block. So first, what we're gonna do is create a square using the regular line command that it is 1 unit. So 1 unit up, and then 1 unit to the left, and then close that square of 1 unit. So it depends in your AutoCAD units. Right now in this drawing, I have inches as my units. So that's what AutoCAD is using. All right, so once we have this square, we're gonna create whatever object or shape we need for this hatch. For this example, I'm gonna simply draw a circle, all right, using the circle command. So I'm gonna come here and using my extension lines, I'm gonna place it in the center like so. And for the size, it doesn't really matter. This is to give you an example. So I'm gonna click like so, all right? So again, the square is simply a guideline. So I'm gonna change the color just for, so you don't get confused. And I'm gonna make it very light, probably something like this. Okay, so that's a guideline that I'm gonna need to create my hatch, but I want the circle only to be my hatch, right? Repeatedly. Okay, so once we have that, let's simply create a block using the B shortcut and press enter. So let's call this circle hatch or whatever This is just an example, but again, you can create any shape that you need. Okay, so once we have that, let's specify the insertion point. So the insertion point for my circular hatch is gonna be over here in this corner. So I'm gonna click there, and I already have my block. So now to create this custom hatch, I'm gonna simply use the super hatch command. Um, so that's it, super hatch. You can also find this command on the ribbon. So if you go on Express Tools, you will see it over here, super hatch. Okay. So if you click or start the command here, we have many different options, but what we want to pick here is the block option. So once you select block, automatically your last block that you created is selected over here, circle hatch. If it didn't select it, you can pick block and find it over here. So that's it, circle hatch, and I'm gonna click OK. So at this point, pay attention because we need like a lot of steps to create this hatch. So just pay attention to the command line and the steps that we're gonna need, okay? So once we have that, let's follow instructions on the command line, and it says specify insertion point. So at this point, so it says specify insertion point. So the insertion point that I want is gonna be over here. Sorry, no, the insertion point is of the area that we need to hatch, right? So I draw a big square over here. So the insertion point would be in this corner. That's what I wanted. So I'm gonna click here once. And then it says specify a scale factor. I wanted to have it as 1. So I'm gonna type 1 and press enter. For the EW scale factor, also 1 and press enter. For the rotation, 0 and press enter. Okay, so it says, is the placement of this block acceptable? I'm gonna say yes, so W. And now here on the command line, it says first corner of magenta rectangle, right? So for this, I'm gonna need the guidelines that I created before. So the first magenta corner is gonna be here, click, and then the second or other magenta corner is gonna be over here, click. So once I have that, it says specify first corner again, but it's a little confusing, but we already did, so just press enter. So now it's asking for the internal points. Of course, that's the area that we want to hatch. I'm gonna click over here and then press enter. So once I do that, again, more steps. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes, of course. And then AutoCAD is starting hatching this object with our circle block that we just created. So again, as you can see, it's right here. But again, it creates a group over here, if you see on the property lines, which that's one of its disadvantages. So the advantage, of course, is that using the super hatch is easier, but the disadvantages are that this is a group and not actually a real hatch. So a real hatch, of course, you could use it in another drawing or so, but in this case, for this hatch, you cannot. Why? Because if you explode this, it's simply a group and full of blocks or circles. So that's why we need the second option to create a custom hatch. All right. So let's start with the second option, which is a little bit more complex, but it's worth it. Okay, so let's let's start then with the second way to create custom hatches. And so again, for this example, I'm going to create this hatch 2x4, which is very useful for ceiling grids. And AutoCAD don't have this hatch, only have the 2x2 grids. Okay. All right. So let's start with this one. Now, so I want to start this hatch, but I'm not going to start from scratch. Again, my idea is always AutoCAD should have already a hatch code here inside, so I need to find it and start from there. I'm not going to waste time starting from a brand new file and then creating my code. No way. Okay, so if you are here in the Lazy Arquitecto, you should know that already, that we don't like to waste time. We want to save time. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to find the code that AutoCAD use for creating hatches, and we're going to reuse it to create our 2x4 ceiling. So let me show you now that you know that. So let's find a similar hatch to a 2x4, right? So we can start. So let me use the hatch command and go here on the hatch patterns, and let's try to find a useful hatch that we can start similar to a 2x4. And I believe it is this one. Great. So this one is very close to a 2x4. And then, so if you get closer, you can see it. So again, you can see this great hatch. It is close to what we need, so we're gonna reuse this. Okay. So remember, the name is great. So what we're gonna do is we need to go to the options, type in OP and pressing enter. And here on the support file search path location, based on my experience, I know the hatch patterns or hatch files where the code is stored. It's on this path. So what I'm gonna do is press F2 and Control C to copy that path. Okay. So once I have that path, I can simply close this. And now what I'm gonna do is open a Windows Explorer folder. So it's right here, and I'm gonna paste that path. Okay. So once I do that, simply press enter. The hatches or hatch pattern file is gonna be over here. So let me find it. You can recognize it because it has the PAT file extension. So that's why you know it's a hatch pattern file. So it's right here, ACAD-PAT. So let's open this. I'm gonna go and open with, and I'm gonna open it with Notepad. So once I open this, I'll have this file over here, and I found it. I found the code for all of the hatches that are inside AutoCAD. Okay, so as you can see, this is the coding that AutoCAD is using to create those custom hatch patterns. And of course, 2 feet by 8 feet ceiling grids doesn't exist in this code, but we're gonna create it. Okay, so let's find the great hatch pattern. Instead of looking for it, I'm gonna click edit and find. So over here I can type great and then press enter, and here it is. We found the great code that we need. So over here, what I'm gonna do is first I want to tell you something important, which is um, that I'm sad that many people that teach AutoCAD is usually suggesting to create your code and put it in this file. But the reason why I would never suggest that is if you create a custom hatch pattern and you put it or added it in this file, whenever AutoCAD is giving you problems, you're going to have to probably restore AutoCAD to the defaults and of course lose all of your custom hatches that you probably spend a lot of time creating. So you never want to do that. Let me show you a way to create your custom hatch patterns, save it in a location where it doesn't matter if AutoCAD crash or AutoCAD doesn't work and you need to restore it, you're still gonna have your custom hatch patterns saved and secure. Okay, so let me show you that. So let's what we're gonna do is copy this great hatch pattern code till this part, because over here starts the other hatch, which is gravel. So once we have that, let's simply copy that and we can close this. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is, let me open another uh, Windows Explorer folder, and let me go to over here. So in this folder, what I'm gonna do is, so I'm gonna create a new folder and I'm gonna call it custom hatch patterns, something like that, very descriptive, right? You can put your name, Lazy Architecto, hatch patterns, whatever. So in this folder, we're gonna create uh, a new text document, right? So and then let's call this 2x4 ACT grid. I mean, again, try to be very descriptive here. 2x4, that's in feet, ACT grid. So once I do that, I can press enter and open this file. So at this point, again, you never should start from scratch. Never, never, never. So that's why simply paste whatever you copied from the previous code. So Control V, and you have something to start working with quickly and easily. Okay, so I'm going to explain you uh, how this code works so you can change it and tweak it to your needs. So the first line over here, so basically we have first line, second line, and third line of code. The first one is to have the name of the hatch and a description of the custom hatch. So right now it says great. Let's change that for 2x4 ACT grid. And here the important part is that the name of the hatch needs to be the same exactly name as the hatch file that we renamed this. So 2x4 ACT grid, that's exactly the name that we need to use here on the name, okay? So then for the description, of course, we can say something like um, ceiling grid or 2x4, whatever, 24 by 48 inches ceiling grid. Okay, so the important part here in the description is that you need to divide the name from the description with this column. Okay, so that's very important for the first line of code. Now that's very straightforward, right? So that's clear, I guess. I explained it. I try to make it simpler. So, but for the second line of code, that's the horizontal line that we're gonna draw. So if we go to AutoCAD, let me show you in AutoCAD so you can kind of see this better. Oops. So let me try to divide my screen like this, I guess, so you can appreciate or understand better. So the second line of code, like I was saying, that's the horizontal line that we're gonna need. So for the horizontal line, if we go to here right now to better understand, this is the gray hatch that was used with this code. So that's what is drawing right now, this line. But what we need is, let me go over here, the horizontal line for the 2x4. What I'm gonna need is 24 inches to the right, 24. So the first number is gonna be the rotation of the line for this hatch. So this 24 line for the ceiling grid, it's at 0 angle. So that's good. We need that 0 comma in this case. So we're good over there. And the second one, so we know the first is the rotation. The second one is gonna be the origin coordinates. So for instance, if we draw a square or a rectangle, sorry, I want to make it in a different color so you don't get confused. And I'm gonna move it somewhere over here. Let me change the color of this so you can see better. Okay. So that's the ceiling grid, and it's starting at 0, 0, which is this point over here. Let me draw a circle so you can see better. So that's the starting point for this line, for this horizontal line, remember? Okay, so the next one is gonna be the length of this line. Okay, so and for the grade, the length was 03124, but for this we're gonna need 24 inches for this. So what we're gonna do is remove this and type 24. That's based on the units, and this drawing is is in inches units, so we need 24. So basically the first line of code will draw this line, right, for our hatch. Now the third line of code, which is this one, will draw the horizontal line for our ACT. And let me draw it so you can see better. So I'm gonna draw 48 inches up. So that's, this code is saying 90 for the angle because this line needs to be on a 90-degree angle, which is here, right? And then the starting point is saying at 0, 0. Now, the starting point, it's very important that you understand this. It's not based on this rectangle, but it's based on the previous object or line, which is this one. So that's why it says 0, 0. So that's good for us because we want to start it over here. So it's, again, referencing to the previous line, not to the rectangle. Okay, so that's good, 0, 0. We want to start from there. And then finally, for the length of our line, in this case, this line is gonna be 48 inches, we said, correct? For a 2x4 ceiling grid. So, and then here we're gonna need to change this number to 48. Okay, so now that's the code that we're gonna need, but an important step here is that we need to end our code with a space or a enter or a return. So let's do that. So we're gonna click over here and press enter. So once we do that, we can uh, we have two options to make this text file a PAT or PAT hatch parent file. We can either save as or we can rename the existing, but we're gonna do save as. So once we do save as, let's rename this file extension to PAT. That's for the hatch parent that AutoCAD uses. So, and then we can save. So we can close this file now and go back to AutoCAD, okay? So here in AutoCAD, let me go back to the folder. So this is what we created. And of course, we don't need any more of this text file extension. I can remove that, but this is what we need. All right, so we're almost there. So now what we need to do is we need to add a path for inside AutoCAD. So AutoCAD can look or find this custom hatch pattern folder. And the way we're gonna do it is simply click over here and copy that. So I'm gonna copy that and then go back to AutoCAD. At this point, so I'm gonna type OP and press enter to access my options here in AutoCAD. And we're gonna expand the support file search path. And over here, we need to add a new path. And we're gonna paste whatever we just copied from the Windows Explorer, okay? So Control V to paste. That's your hatch patterns where it is stored, and press enter. This is very important because if not, AutoCAD won't recognize that you have custom hatches somewhere in your computer, right? So then apply and click OK. So we're almost there. So now let's create a rectangle to hatch to try to test our hatch and see that everything is looking right. Let me type H for hatch, and let's see if we don't have any problems finding our hatch over here. So we rename it ACT, no, 2x4 ACT grid. Here it is. It's right here inside AutoCAD. And you're never gonna lose it, even though you restore AutoCAD, your custom hatch is gonna be always secure for you to use it. So let's click on it and let's click over here and accept that. And of course, that's your hatch, your 2x4 ACT grid. So at this point, you can place your lighting and you will be ready to go. Oops, a tip is to use the so So that's if we explode this, just to check or double check, and we dimension this. Oops, for some reason I cannot use my dimension. Let me go here on the annotate and use the dimension from here. You can see that it is 2 feet by 4 feet. Great, right? So that's two ways that you can create your hatch patterns, and of course you can use this hatch pattern with other computer or so on. But now let's go with the final steps, which are troubleshooting troubleshooting tips or tricks, because you're probably gonna have problems when, especially when creating these custom hatches with the final technique, which is the coding. So let me give you some tips and tricks that are going to help you so you don't have headaches. Okay. So let's start with those. And so let me open first the file that we were using over here. So the first troubleshooting trick or suggestion that I want to give you is that never, let me open this, open with Notepad. So never forget to add a space or a return on the final line of your code. That's very important, because if not, your AutoCAD won't find your hatch. Okay, so remember that, always add a return or a space. So the next one is always have the name of your hatch pattern, the file. Right now this name is 2x4 ACT grid. Always have that name match to the inside code name. So if we go here, this name of the hatch needs to match the file name. Okay, so make sure that's matching so you don't have headaches trying to create a custom hatch. So let's go with the next troubleshooting trick, and it is sometimes AutoCAD, even though you follow all of these steps, sometimes AutoCAD won't recognize your hatch. And a way to fix this is close AutoCAD and reopen it. So that way AutoCAD, or you can refresh the path that you just added, and AutoCAD can recognize your hatch. So that's the third technique. If you did all of the steps and you still cannot find your custom hatch, close and reopen AutoCAD, and probably you will find it this time. So those are 3 troubleshooting tricks that you should know in order to create your custom hatch. Okay, and again, if you need custom hatches, just let me know. There is now a um, WhatsApp option where you can contact me if you need fast AutoCAD help. And as always, this tutorial comes thanks to my supporters, people who believed on my work. Thank you very much. They support me either on Patreon or here on YouTube as a YouTube members. Thank you very much.